The other day, my son, Leo, he's 5, woke up and told me his stomach hurt. It was a Monday, 7 in the morning. He had his backpack ready the night before. He was excited about school, and suddenly, stomach ache. I felt his forehead, nothing. I looked at his eyes. He seemed fine. He even asked me if we could watch cartoons. So I thought, okay, he's faking it. He just doesn't want to go. And honestly, I almost just sent him anyway and moved on with my day. But something stopped me. I sat next to him and asked one simple question. Not what's wrong, just what's school like lately? And what he told me changed everything. I'm not going to tell you yet what he said, because first, I need to show you something that most parents completely miss. And once you see it, you'll never look at a Monday morning stomachache the same way again. Here's the first thing you need to understand. When a kid between 5 and 7 says, "I feel sick," they're not always lying. And I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. At that age, kids don't have the words for anxiety. They don't walk up to you and say, "Dad, I'm experiencing emotional distress about my social dynamics at school." That's not how it works. What happens instead is that the worry lives in their body. It becomes a stomachache, a headache, a tight chest, a feeling they can't explain but they know is real. Doctors actually have a name for this. It's called somatization, when the brain is under so much stress that it triggers a real physical response. The nausea is real. The headache is real. Their body is doing exactly what a stressed out adult body does. It's just happening in a 5-year-old. And here's the tell. Think about this. Does the stomachache disappear on Saturday morning? Does it magically go away the second you say, "Okay, you can stay home"? That's not your kid tricking you. That's their nervous system finally feeling safe. So if it's not always a lie, what is it? What is their body actually trying to tell you? That's exactly what we need to figure out, and the answer is going to surprise you. Between 5 and 7, something huge happens in a kid's life. For the first time, they're spending hours every day in a world without you. No mom, no dad, just them, other kids, and adults they didn't choose. And that world, it can be brutal. Bullying at this age doesn't always look like what you imagine. It's not always a big kid taking someone's lunch. Sometimes it's getting left out of a game at recess, someone making fun of their shoes, a group of kids who decided that today your child isn't welcome. To an adult, that sounds small. To a 6-year-old, it feels like the end of the world. And it's not always other kids. Sometimes it's a teacher who raises their voice a lot, or a classroom where your child got embarrassed in front of everyone. One bad moment in front of the class can stick with a kid for weeks. When that happens, school stops being a place to learn. It becomes a place to survive, and their body goes into "get me out of here" every single morning. So now the question is, how do you know if this is what's happening with your kid? Because they're probably not going to tell you directly, and that's the part that keeps most parents stuck. There's another reason kids fake sick that almost no one talks about, and it has nothing to do with school itself. Some kids aren't afraid of school, they're afraid of leaving you. There's a thing called separation anxiety, and before you say, "My kid seems fine when I drop them off," let me tell you, it can hide. It can look like a stomachache. It can look like resistance and excuses and fake coughs, because the real fear isn't math class. It's the moment they have to let go of your hand. At this age, some kids have a deep, irrational fear that if they leave, something bad is going to happen to you, to them, to the family. They can't explain it, it doesn't make sense, but it feels real. And staying home sick, that's how they keep the family together. That's how they make sure you're safe. Here's what parents often mistake for manipulation: the clinging, the crying, the dramatic exit every morning. That's not your kid trying to control you. That's your kid terrified of losing you. Now, here's what I need you to think about. What if you're misreading that? What if what looks like a bad attitude is actually a child who's quietly falling apart? Because that misread, that's where things start to go wrong. This one hit me hard when I first learned about it. Some kids fake sick because they're scared of failing. Not in a dramatic way, just not being good enough, not reading fast enough, not finishing the worksheet, not being picked first in gym class. Some kids, even at 5 or 6, carry this weight of perfectionism. And I want to be real with you. Sometimes we put it there without meaning to. The "you're so smart" comments, the pressure to do well, the way we react when they bring home a test with a mistake. When a child starts to feel like they can't meet the standard, they do the math. They think, if I'm sick, I don't have to try. And if I don't try, I can't fail. It's safer to be the sick kid than the kid who got it wrong in front of everyone. This is one of the most heartbreaking reasons behind school avoidance, and it's also one of the easiest to miss. Because these kids don't usually seem anxious, they seem quiet, careful, sometimes even eager to please. So now we've got anxiety, bullying, separation fear, perfectionism, and there's one more reason that's darker, and we need to talk about it. This one's rare, but it matters. Some kids learn, not by purpose, not consciously, that being sick is the only time things slow down. It's the only time you sit next to them for hours, the only time the phone goes away and the attention is fully theirs. When life is busy and overwhelming and everyone's rushing, being sick becomes the one thing that makes everything stop. And so slowly, the child starts to reach for that, not because they're manipulative, because they're lonely, because they're craving something they don't know how to ask for any other way. This is connected to what psychologists call the sick role. And while it's rare in kids this young, the pattern can start early if a child consistently feels unseen. They're not looking for toys or days off, they're looking for you, fully present, right there. And that brings me back to Leo. What Leo told me. When I sat next to him that morning and asked, "What's school like lately?" he was quiet for a second, and then he said, "There's a kid who says I can't play with them." That's it. That was the stomachache, not a test, not a mean teacher, just a 5-year-old who felt left out and didn't have the words to say, "I feel rejected and I don't want to go back to a place where I don't belong." He wasn't faking it. He was sending the only signal he knew how to send. So what you should actually do. So what do you do at 7 in the morning when they're curled up in that ball? First, don't dismiss it, but don't panic either. Take it seriously without making it bigger than it is. Say something like, "I hear you. Your tummy feels bad. Let's talk about what's going on." Second, ask better questions, not "what's wrong?" Instead, who do you sit with at lunch? Is there anyone at school who bothers you? What's the hardest part of your day? Give them the words. Kids this age can answer specific questions even when they can't answer open ones. Third, keep the routine but stay connected. In most cases, unless they're genuinely sick, they need to go to school. The longer they stay home, the bigger the fear gets. But you can offer a bridge. "I'll pick you up right after lunch today. You can text me at recess." Something that keeps the cord without cutting school. Fourth, watch the pattern. One Monday stomachache is nothing. A stomachache every Monday for 3 weeks is something. That's when you talk to the teacher. That's when you consider talking to a professional. A child psychologist isn't a last resort, it's just someone who speaks kid. And finally, check yourself. Are your expectations leaving space for them to be imperfect? Are they getting enough of you when they're healthy? Sometimes the sick mornings are a symptom of something that starts long before 7 a.m. Your kid isn't trying to trick you. When they say, "I feel sick," and there's no fever, no real symptoms, what they're saying is, "Something in my world feels too big right now, and I don't know how to tell you." Tomorrow morning, if it happens, Don't just reach for the thermometer. Reach for their hand. Sit on the edge of the bed. Ask a real question and wait for the answer. Because the real reason they're faking sick, it's the most human reason there is. They just want to know you're paying attention. And now you are.